مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا.
Remember, I said that there are three ways that Muslims misrepresent the Christian message in order to make it sound violent. I said that the first way Muslims misrepresent Christianity is by distorting the teachings of Jesus and ripping verses out of context in order to make it sound as if Jesus calls for violence. By the way, it never ceases to amaze me how Muslims who claim to respect Jesus are so quick to distort his words. Now, he says,
so Muslims are distorting the teaching of Jesus by taking verses out of context and making them look like Jesus is calling for violence. Do you have an example for that, David Wood?
He says Jesus tells his followers to go buy swords. Now, let's read this one in context. Jesus said, if you don't have a sword, sell your coat and buy one. The Muslim says, see here, he wants his followers to have swords so they can kill people. What does Jesus say? For I tell you that this which is written must be fulfilled in me, as he was numbered, and he was numbered with the transgressors. He's supposed to be numbered with the rebels. Jesus says, get the swords, because it is prophesied that I will be numbered among the rebels. And what does it say? They say, look, here are two swords, and he says to them, it is enough, really. Two swords are enough for an armed rebellion. Of course not. Two swords were enough to fulfill the prophecy. And so, if you're going to say that Jesus is calling his followers to hack people up with swords because he says he has to fulfill a prophecy...
Did you hear that, Muslims? Luke 22:35 is just about fulfilling a prophecy. Jesus is not calling for violence. So stop it, Muslims. Why are you so quick in distorting the message of Jesus? Please show some respect for Jesus. And if you still have doubt about what David Wood is saying, here is another Christian apologist. This one is John MacArthur. Unlike David Wood, MacArthur is a scholar of Christian theology. He is one of the most influential preachers of his time. Let's see what he says about Luke 22:35.
But John MacArthur, what is the Christian position? Is there a Christian position on this war, pending war?
Yeah, Larry, the singular Christian is Jesus. So the question needs to be asked, what was Jesus' view? And I think explicitly in Scripture you have a number of things. In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 31, he said when a king goes to war, he's careful to count the cost, knowing he has 10,000 soldiers and he's going to go against 20,000 so that he doesn't get into battle he might lose. Jesus uses that illustration to compare a person counting the cost to become a Christian, therefore elevates war, makes a noble illustration. In Luke 22:36...
Did he endorse this war?
Well, let me finish. He said, he who has no sword, to his disciples, let him sell his garment and buy one. Because he was sending his apostles out. He knew there would be hostility, he knew there would be persecution, and he knew that that could go to the level of someone endeavoring to take their life, and he told them, get a sword, because you may have to protect yourself.
So he endorsed war. He endorsed
the fact of protection and just war.
Contradictions taste good.
How do we know, depending on what verse anyone reads, you can back up anything?
محمد سيد الكونين